So let's go to the for blood.
Thin,
You want to go
and,
thin, thick?
yeah,
Let's do thin and
thin and
thick.
thick.
Thin and thick blood. And of course, as I said yesterday, there's thin, there's thick, and then there's what's in the middle, and that's just right, which doesn't often get covered in the vocabulary. When people talk, they talk about their blood being thin or their blood being thick. But keep in mind there's that middle ground. Thin blood is when the blood is watery, looks really pale. When people cut themselves, the blood just really oozes out. Thin blood's also considered generally to be weak, so it's not a deep, rich color. It's more orangey looking and less red looking. Thin blood has poor nutritional value in it, and often doesn't move well around the body. So sometimes thin blood will also be low blood, because it's just too thin. There's nothing in it. It's not moving. There's not a lot of iron. It's just going nowhere. So nutritive herbs and foods were used with thin blood to try to thicken it up and get it moving around the body a little bit better. Do you have any?
Yeah, well, let's see. It's watery, so it's cold.
Yeah, it is.
And it goes down, settles. And also, one book which I found here that was published by a doctor in Birmingham said that always, if a woman had the whites or leukorrhea, that settled on a constitution that had watery blood, as he called it.
Yeah.
So you get the discharges, you get that cold, watery discharge. And his remedy that he liked for that was oak bark. So I think this is a state also that needs astringents. And this is where it fits with low blood. If the blood is watery and low, then you need stimulating astringents to bring it back up the legs. And this is going to particularly affect women. We talked about it out on the trail after birth and stuff like that. Also, as far as I can tell, this was often what they called chlorosis or the green sickness in women, which they don't talk about nowadays, but that was really young women with thin, watery blood and anemic, and
excuse me.
And this also fits that condition of kidney anemia.
Yeah, kidney anemia.
Yeah, where the anemia is from the bone marrow not producing good blood, and so sumac fits in there as a good.
Sumac is an excellent remedy for that.
Yeah, and as you can see, it would thicken up your blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's most of what I can think about it.
Yeah, and the person who has thin blood does tend to be colder self. Even if the weather's hot outside, they tend to be a bit cooler and a bit chillier, especially in the extremities, as the body tries to conserve heat at the core, and the feet and hands are a little chillier. They also tend to be pale, dark circles under the eyes.
Yeah, with blood vessels, the blue, pale blood vessels showing through the skin.
Yeah. The skin just looks fragile. They just look weak. They almost look consumptive. It's almost a consumptive picture, and they are more prone. People with low, thin blood, weak blood are more prone to picking up infections, and of course then it's harder for them to get rid of it. So sumac is an excellent remedy. Spice bush is a remedy that kind of falls in under this category also, herbally. And it was important for women who had low, thin, weak, watery blood to build up before pregnancy, because if they didn't, then they would bleed too much during childbirth. And deliveries were tough, and they could bleed to death because the blood would just keep on coming out. It was too thin and watery, didn't coagulate well. And sometimes watery blood is also acid, which is another category we'll come to in a minute. It's acid blood.